Hi, my name is Kelly Hilinski. I'm 18 years old, I go to Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks, California, and ALS has changed my life. It's hard to fathom how one single moment, one place in time can forever change our lives, but for so many of us in the ALS community, this is sadly our reality. On March 26, 2006, my grandmother, my role model, and my best friend lost a 2-year-long fight with ALS, passing from this world 60 years too young. Being only 90 years old when my Nana was diagnosed with ALS, I didn't really understand the implications of it. She had moved back east to Baltimore with my grandfather in order to facilitate his new job, so I had assumed, being the young, naive 9-year-old that I was, that she contracted Lou Gehrig's disease simply because she had moved back east and was bitten by a bad bug. Of course, our wonderful California sun would and should take care of all that and make it seem like only a bad dream. Or so I thought. Nana Randolph, as I so lovingly called her, came back to California to fight this terrible disease. As I grew older and as each day passed and her condition got progressively worse, I soon began to understand that ALS was taking my grandmother's life. I watched the strongest woman I knew fall victim to a disease that can't be fought. There was nothing to do, nothing to say to make this truth any less unbearable. Despite the pain and the pills, my grandmother never lost her smile, never lost her faith, and always loved with all her heart. I spent the last few days with my Nana, and at this point in the disease, my hero couldn't even talk. She had an alphabet board in her lap, so if she needed to say something, she would point to one letter at a time to spell what she was really trying to say. As our time together grew to a close, and the visit with my grandma in the hospital came to an end, I began to say my goodbyes. When it was my turn to say goodbye, I was the last one in the room. I was her first and oldest grandchild. I looked her in the eyes and told her I loved her. I told her she was my hero. I told her no one at all deserves this. I told her I was going to miss her. And I told her I would see her again soon, up in heaven. As I kissed her on the cheek and started to leave the room, crying all the while, I heard a noise behind me. I looked back, and my Nana, the strongest person I knew, was struggling to make any noise. She couldn't really talk. She could only mumble to get my attention. I walked back over to her bed and watched her spell out, "I love you," on her alphabet board, one letter at a time. However, she wasn't done after that. As I watched, she also spelled out, "Be a legend." Now, I looked up at her to make sure she knew what she had said, and there she was, looking back at me, smiling. Something physically impossible to do at that point in her disease. In that moment, I forgot that she had ALS. I forgot about all the troubles in the world. I forgot about the pain she had to deal with. In that moment, I forgot about everything else except the woman in front of me. And in that moment, I saw the most beautiful woman in the entire world, smiling back at me, showing me that despite all the pain in the world, there was always something to smile about. My grandmother, Linda Randolph, passed away on March 26, 2006, a few days after my last visit with her. I spent the next months of my life falling asleep crying, asking God, why? Why take my grandma? Why did she deserve this? Why does anyone deserve something like this? Eventually, I turned the pain of losing my best friend and her last words to me into a drive to cure ALS, no matter what it takes. Now, be a legend means different things to different people. I think my grandma told me that day to make sure I made something of my life, to make sure I left a lasting image on this world, and I plan to do just that. How could I break that promise to my grandma? Right now, there's no cure for ALS. There are hundreds of great people at ALS TDI working tirelessly and selflessly searching for a cure. It's not going to be found overnight, and it's not going to be found if we only talk about it. Dreams are never fulfilled if you only dream about doing something. It's up to us to make a difference, to raise awareness and start actively pursuing our drive to find a cure. We can do it together. That's the only way. Share your story. Turn your sorrow and pain into something positive. Do something. Anything. Don't let a day go by where you're not contributing to this cause. I'm attending Columbia University next fall and will be continuing my football career I also plan to major in pre-med and further my efforts to end the pain caused by ALS. What are you doing to help? God bless.